episode 114 of the best podcast in the entire world. I don't care what genre it is. And I'm with one of the coolest fighters in the world, Landry Ward, the Lone Star Kid. Landry, welcome back, man. How are you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having me, man.
Always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure. And I have to ask, because when people come on, when people are in my presence, when people they come on the greatest podcast in the world and they're like, Tyler, like your show changed my life. Like paparazzi is showing up at my door now. Ariel Helwani's banging me down. Like everyone wants a piece of me. So I have to ask, like, how are you handling like the pressures and the limelight coming off of my show?
You know, it builds up, but you just got to get used to it.
You certainly do. You certainly do. I knew like when we had you booked the first time, I was like, yeah, he can handle it okay. Other guys, you know, I have to coach them a little bit. I'm glad that you're doing well. And I'm wearing your drip right now. So for everyone who's like watching this isn't like a shitty like cotton shirt. It's like really comfortable. It's kind of like a rash guard of sorts. It's really good. Like you got other stuff though that you're selling. Like I saw that you launched like a website and stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about what are some of the stuff that you got up on there?
Oh yeah, so I just launched a website with a bunch of clothing. It's got like duffel bags. I got hats on here. These are some of the style of hats. Some trucker
I like that.
caps,
That's dope.
ad hats, golf caps. These hoodies right here. Lone Star Kid, all different types of apparel. Y'all support the kid, LoneStarKid.com.
Hey man, fighting it's not cheap, man. It's a pay to play sport. So any sort of support that you can do for my guy here, I'm sure he'd really appreciate that. I'm gonna get one of those camo hats. I really like that. I'm a bald guy. I have to wear hats, man. It's part of the deal. I put out an Instagram story right before we started recording, and I wanted to ask people like, or I wanted people to have the opportunity to ask you questions. So there are a couple ones that are in here that are kind of good, and I want you to get your take on them. So, would you? Okay, I'm going to alter this question. They didn't really like ask it in this way, but would you fight somebody? But instead of like a purse, it's like a tattoo bet. Like they would have to like get a tattoo that you pick for somebody. Like, would you be willing to do that?
Yeah, I guess it would depend on the tattoo, maybe.
Okay, so like for you, let's pretend it's like a random can, but you're like cool with said can, right? And he's like, yo, like our purse will be what it is, but like for me to fight you, there has to be a tattoo clause. And so if I win, I can pick whatever I want to tattoo on you, but we'll just be gentlemen about it. Like no dicks tattooed on the forehead or anything stupid like that. But other than that,
reasonable. All right.
Yeah, but other than that, though, like My Little Pony tattooed on the torso or something like that, like that's all fair game. So, like, would you be like willing to like do something? I mean, are you a gambling man? I guess is the question like that.
I definitely am a gambling man, and I'm no stranger to gambling with tattoos. I definitely have a dumb tattoo on me from losing a bet. But
so then you're down then.
I guess with my history, I would have to say yes.
Okay, so I already think I know the tattoo. Well, I don't know. I don't know. That might be. I don't know if Offbrand's the right word. It could be misinterpreted. So what I mean by that is you could get the Lone Star, this right here, like, but like make him like have a tramp stamp or something. But then I'd be like, but maybe they'll think like, yeah, maybe, there's like a history there. That might not age that well. But, just the thought of somebody having your logo, a dude, but like a tramp stamp, like how hilarious would that be? And then this person has to fight again. Like how hilarious would that be?
I don't think that's the type of advertising I want from my brand.
Yeah, for sure. My God, I just like have like images of my mind about like, like you see some like big fucking scary dude like 10 years later down the road and he's like in the UFC fighting for a belt and he's got a Landry Ward like tramp stamp on him. Like how freaking great would that be? That'd be a story, man. Consider it.
Hey, that's true.
In training, who is the guy that comes to mind who's hit you the hardest?
my buddy who just fought last weekend for Combate and won, Angel Alvarez. That dude is a fucking tank.
So he hits like a truck.
Yeah, he hits like a truck.
Oh, right.
It's
So
probably him, and then Michael Chandler hits pretty damn hard too.
you don't say. What about in a fight? In any of your like in the 5 professional fights that you've had, who's the guy that like stands out in your brain is like, dude, that guy hit me like a truck?
I think the hardest I've been hit in a fight was my like first pro fight. Dude caught me clean on the chin, but it didn't really like stun me or anything, but it definitely like made me like make a mental note of like, all right, we can't get hit with that straight right again. I think
Yeah.
that was the hardest I've been hit in like all of my fights. But thankfully I haven't been hit to where I was like, damn, that one almost got me right there.
And well, in your most recent fight, he had a couple like I won't say opportunities, but like I'm talking about Roa. Like he got some nice shots in for sure. And I'm just kind of I've always kind of wondered like when you're in the fight, like it has to be, and maybe it's a stupid thing to say because I'm not a fighter, obviously, and I wouldn't know, but like because your adrenaline's going and you're in a fight, like I would imagine there's got to be like this like wave of pain that happens after the fight, like when the adrenaline is gone and the gloves are off.
No, yeah, my first fight in Combate, I ate a ton of leg kicks, and like I didn't even realize I was eating them because during the fight they did not like my leg felt fine. Like I was moving fine, bouncing around on it. But after like literally right after the fight, when I stepped out of the cage, I felt it and I was limping. I was like, oh, okay. I was getting kicked. That adrenaline dump, whenever it wears off, you start to feel a lot. And like you even start to feel like the little injuries and aches from training too. They show up right after that adrenaline dump as well.
I could only imagine, and the first one of the fights that comes to mind was when Conor McGregor fought Nate Diaz. I'm talking about the second time. He was blasting Nate with all these kicks, and he's the one inflicting the damage. And then, like after the fight, after he wins, he's like, "I need crutches. Like my legs are totally fucked right now."
And it's not somehow Nate Diaz is just walking fine.
Yeah, Nate Diaz is the one that's walking fine.
Yeah. That's a tough dude right there.
One of the things that I think is interesting about your career and just trying to take a pulse check for like kind of where you are, it's hard to believe like you've only been pretty much active as a pro since this whole pandemic started. You fought in Texas before, you had a lot of success, and then you get the call up in the summer of 21 to come to Combate Global. And that was a really great opportunity. They're one of the most underrated promotions, I feel. And I think you kind of have to be, I think it's safe to say you kind of have to be a hardcore guy to like follow Combate. It's difficult to follow because the fights don't even fucking air until like 3 a.m. or some godforsaken hour. It's terrible. Yeah, I a lot of times, unless it's like somebody I know who's fighting, I'm not staying up for that shit. It's like I'll watch it in the morning. I'm not staying up for that. For you,
my mom like puts together watch parties back home in Texas. I think I fight around like midnight back there, and she's like, "Dang, why is this? If it wasn't you, I definitely wouldn't be up this late watching this."
Well, I wanted to kind of like ask you about going from XKO, which for people who don't know, that's a promotion based in Texas. That's a pretty like reputable promotion. There are a lot of guys in Texas that come up through there, and you go to Combate, and I have to imagine like the atmosphere is just completely different from where you came in Texas. Like you're a guy who doesn't put on boring fights. I would imagine in Texas, like when you're fighting with XKO, there are tons of people that are coming to watch you. There are tons of people in the actual arena, like watching you fight. And then you go to Combate, and it's like, think of like the Apex, but with less people, if that's even possible. And that's what Combate is. Is that like still kind of weird getting used to?
I mean, I got used to it, but it's still like I guess it's still not preferred. I prefer to have, fans there cheering, hollering, going crazy. That the energy is just unmatched. Thankfully I have a lot of people who support me and a lot of good people who pay to come watch me fight back in Texas. A lot of good friends, family, supporters. So they show up in numbers, and they're chanting my name, doing chants while I'm fighting, and that energy, I feed off of it, and I feed off like wanting to go out and like show what I can do in front of all these people. And so I still take that into the Combate fights, obviously, because it's getting streamed in front of hundreds of thousands of people. But just that energy, like in there, it's so different.
Yeah, I can
So
only
different.
imagine. The other thing that's weird is like it's streamlined because they're putting on a fight card in a TV slot.
Yeah.
So everything is like pumped up. It's not like
I do like that about it.
yeah, like it's like they crank them out, man. Like it's not like the UFC. You watch a fight and it's like okay, now they're putting the Vaseline on the guy and they're checking the gloves and they're checking to make sure he's got the nut cup on or whatever. Like in Combate, it's like you guys bam, bam, bam. Like they just crank these fights out. And did that also take some getting used to? Like I'm always curious, like what fight day looks like, because I would imagine you're brought into like the place that you're fighting in. I can't imagine it's very big. There are no crowds to really deal with. It's probably just production people. So like, do they like put you guys up in a hotel? Like logistically, kind of behind the scenes, how does all of that work? I'm just curious.
Yeah, they put us in a hotel like either Monday or Tuesday of fight week.
Okay.
We're there. Then Friday is the fights. They take you, the venue we fight at is like probably 15-20 minutes away from the hotel, and it's in like a office building, because it's like I guess not a warehouse. It has like a bunch of different rooms and stuff in it, and then one big room where they put the cage and all the setup. They take you there in different time slots. I probably get there like 2 hours before my fight, maybe like 3. And we just chill there, and they crank, like everything is on a time schedule. So I do like that about it. Like everything's like you're doing this at this time, be ready to walk out at this time, you're fighting at this time. And it's all on schedule. So that stuff's good.
Is blue so like blue and red, do they like share like lockers like how they would in a regular fight? Like how does that work?
No, it's literally it's like they're little rooms, and like one corner will be on one side and then the other corner will be like across the hall.
Okay, all right, that's a little weird. Yeah. But so like I know it happens all the time, but do you like run into and like see the guy that you're fighting like before you actually fight him?
Yeah, you see him. I didn't run into him a lot, but I saw him like 1 or 2 times last fight.
And is that weird for you at all? Like, or is it just kind of like whatever? Like you don't even really think about it.
It's part of the game at this level,
Yeah.
I mean, even in the UFC and stuff like that, like you're gonna bump into your opponent at a fighter hotel or something like that. They might keep you separated like right before the fight, though.
Yeah. And well, it's also different because it's like you got the embedded crew there. So it's like, okay, well, shit, now I feel like I have to say something to this guy. I got to sell this fight a little bit because it's a pay-per-view. Because, I feel like at the UFC, like, and to a lesser extent, Bellator, you're going to see some of that fuckery from time to time because they're trying to sell these fights.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what, since we're talking about fighting, talk to me about what you have coming up next. We're 5-0 right now. We're looking to go 6-0. What do you, from a fight news standpoint, Landry, what do you have cooking?
April 15th. So 2 weeks from Friday. We getting back to it. We're going 6-0.
Your opponent, let's talk about this dude for a second. This is a risky fight for you. It is because, like, I don't think people really understand how good this guy is that you're fighting. He's good. Like, he's not a scrub, and his record is 6-2. I always tell people, like, look beyond the record though. Like, look at who he's fought, look how he fights. I watched a couple of his fights, and like, this guy is like no scrub. He's good on his feet. He's not afraid to throw leg kicks. Like, he's a tough bastard. And that's why I love this fight so much, because it's like, you want to fight tough people. Can you tell me a little bit about your thoughts on Perez? And
at this point in my career, it's about stepping like the competition level up every fight. So I think like my first fight was like me and the kid were a debut. Then I took a kid with I think like 7 fights. I think he had a losing record, but I think he had like 7 fights, a couple in Bellator. Then I was going to fight a guy with like 14 fights, but he pulled out my 3rd one. So I got another debuter. But I haven't really heard that too much, just trying to step it up fight by fight. Then now we got this kid. I know when I get in there, he's a tough kid. He's pretty well-rounded, but I know whenever I start to clip him and I put the pressure on him, he's going to want to go back to what he does and wrestle and grapple. And I just can't wait for when he does shoot. And if he doesn't eat a knee on the first one coming in and he eats my hip and we start scrambling and he realizes, damn, this kid can wrestle too, I can't wait to see him break. So he's a good kid, and it's going to be a nice fight for me to prove myself and really show like I'm the future of the sport.
With a back-to-back wins against Dumar Roa and now this guy, Perez, those are 2 huge feathers in your cap right there, my man. Like, your last opponent, like, that's one I want to talk about. Like, you look at his record, it's not going to blow anybody away. He's a tough bastard. Like, I've seen this guy fight too. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like you are fighting. I'll go ahead and say it. Like, your last opponent, he is a tough bastard. Like, you look at his record and it's like someone would be inclined to think like, he's okay, I guess, but he loses a lot of fights. Because this guy will fight anybody. Like, he's a tough bastard. He will fight anybody. And I liked it. I liked that you were willing to like go with a guy like that because he had so much more experience than you, and you knew he was a tough guy. Back-to-back fights, back-to-back 2 tough dudes. When you like think about like where you want to go and how these opponents come together, is it safe to say that it's not so much about getting the win, but it's like how you win in a way? Would that be a fair statement?
Kind of like, yeah. The way the game is nowadays, like, you want to win, but you really want to win like impressively, and usually in devastating fashion. Unfortunately, I haven't got the finish in my last 2 fights, but I feel that I've put on performances that were like, damn, this kid can fight. Like, they weren't boring fights. They might not have been knockouts, but you watch them and you're like, damn, that was fun to watch. That was pretty. And if I'm not getting the finish, then I like to show stuff like that, show that like I'm levels ahead of these guys, and you can see it in the performance. And I 2 more weeks, I can't wait to show it again.
I do feel like every single time I see you go back into the cage to compete, there's like this different version of you that I see. Like, I do see there's things that you're doing that are better than your last fight. And I watch your tape. I've seen your fights, and like the guy that I've seen, like, a couple years ago compared to the guy today, like, you're putting in the work, man. Like, I can tell, like, you're doing all the things that you need to do to get to that next level. Let's talk a little bit about your win streak, because I think it's something that's really important to talk about. It's not often that I talk to a guy who's never lost a fight. Does that like add additional pressure to you, do you feel? Because like, there's not only do people expect you to like win, but like people expect you to like dominate. And it's harder and harder to clip these guys out and to like get these like flash finishes because you're leveling up in competition. So do you feel like in a way, like there's like added pressure and you have to kind of like manage those expectations when you're going into a fight?
There might be a little bit of added pressure, but I think it's just pressure that like I put on myself as a competitor to want to be perfect, you know. But that being said, I absolutely love the pressure, so I'll take it all day. It makes me, you know, hit the gym harder, put in that extra work, and I try not to think about it too much. But obviously, when it gets close, it's like, all right, I'm keeping this O today, baby. Let's go. And, you know, it's there in the back of the mind. But like I said, it just drives the work ethic, knowing that I'm putting in the work to keep it, and whatever he's doing, it's not gonna outdo what I'm doing over here. And you know, like you said, with the guy that I just fought, all the experience he had, I just started at the beginning of the pandemic my pro career. I'm only like 5 or 6 years into the game, but I feel like mentally I put so much in, so much film study. Like this is all I do. I don't think or care about anything else. I just, you know, want to get better as a fighter day in and day out. And I think that's like helped me progress and so young in my career be like have the mental, I guess, experience over these guys. I feel like I've, you know, been in this game a lot longer than I have been. And I think I showed that with my performances as well.
Moving forward, like what is, and maybe you don't know, maybe it's just one of those things you'll have to figure it out. Maybe it depends on just your body and the opponents, but it's feasible, like featherweight, lightweight, like you have options. Like there's a lot of things that you could potentially do. You're still young enough where if you wanted to, you could make featherweight, I would imagine, without a whole lot of difficulty. So for this bout, when you're fighting this guy, is it going to be at 55 or 45?
45.
Okay, so you're fighting at featherweight. When you fight at featherweight, because I know you fought at both classes before. I know you've done it both. You've done both of them. Do you feel like a notable difference like on fight day? Like, because I would imagine on fight day, if you're fighting at lightweight, you're probably walking in there like 160 something. And, you know, when you're fighting at featherweight, I would imagine you're probably walking in there in the high 50s when it actually comes time to fight. And neither of those weights, mind you, are probably anywhere close to what you typically are when you're out of camp. But is there like a big difference? Are there things that you have to do differently when you're competing at feather compared to light?
No, I've always walked around like at a weight that's pretty easy to make. Not pretty easy, even though I did make it fairly easy in the last fight to make featherweight. But I've never cut weight in my life, so I just fought in lightweight just because I was like, this is more feasible for me since I've never tried it before. But then, you know, being around the game, there comes that experience, and they're like, maybe we should try featherweight just to try it out. Like my weight's already around what most of these guys at the highest level are when they cut to 45. So let's just try it. And now that was the perfect time to do it last fight. And everything went perfect. I just made one slip up that I think took a little bit of cardio out of me during the fight, but you know, other than that one little slip up I had before weigh-ins, like it came off perfectly. My body felt great. On fight day, I felt amazing. I don't even think my body felt that good on any of my other fights at lightweight. The refueling went perfect. Just really couldn't have gone better, just except for the one little mishap I had right before. But yeah, you know, the standard nowadays is 2 belts. So that's
Heck yeah, or maybe 3, right? Because like it's not. Hey man, like I feel like you have like the perfect frame where like when you do get older, when you're a 30-something-year-old dude, like you could feasibly fight. You're tall enough to fight at welter too. So I feel like there are just more doors that are potentially open to you because of your frame. Whereas if you were a shorter dude, like, you know, 5'7", 5'8", it's like, well, you're pretty much locked in. Like, dude, you're not gonna fight at welterweight or fight well at welterweight. Like it ain't gonna happen. Take note, Conor McGregor. You're not
That's
fighting.
Funny.
You're not
I've talked
fighting
about
Usman at 170 pounds. You're insane.
Nah, yeah, that wouldn't end up well. He needs to come back and get a win. He can't come back and do that.
No. What were you saying? You said that you were talking to a
I was
teammate
gonna say
about this.
that's been a conversation before that later. I'm only 25, so I still got a little more filling in to do to my body. Once I get that grown man strength, once I hit 30 or something, I think 70 definitely could be an option. So, trying to make history. I
It's
think I'm gonna be a fighter who makes history, and I can see 3 belts happening in the future.
Well, guess what? It's 2022 now, so who's to say, like, 8 years from now, all these old ass videos will be on YouTube, and then people will see all this.
As crazy as Conor is, he definitely had a great mindset leading up to his run, doing what he did, and the law of attraction speaking into existence.
Absolutely.
And
Well,
I work hard enough to be able to do it. So I'm confident in my work ethic and my abilities as a fighter to speak these things and go back up my words.
big nerd like me about fighting, or if you're from Texas, a lot of people don't know who you are still. They don't know like how good you are. They don't know how fast you are. They don't know how strong you are. They don't know about really anything. That's why, like, when I look at you, I see all the things that you're capable of doing. I'm like, holy shit, if this guy gets a call, and I know like there are levels. I know, like, I get it. You're not in a rush. I understand that. But it's like, dude, I could totally see you going to like that next level, to one of those big three. And I think there would be a lot of people that would look at your record and just be like, okay, young hot shot. Okay, whatever. I'm not going to really think too much of it. And I think that is a huge advantage for you.
Yeah. Keep overlooking me. Soon they'll know.
Oh, man, like you're at a point where the cat's going to get out of the bag, and very, very soon everyone else is going to pile on. Everyone's going to know just how special of a fighter that you are, and that's why I'm so excited for you, because all that stuff I mentioned, that's not far away. You string together a couple more wins, that's the path to that next level is through guys like Perez.
Oh yeah, these are a good fighter with a good record and good resume. These are the fighters I want on my resume. So another feather in the cap, another name on the list. So
when you think about 2022, what does a successful 2022 look like for you? You had a great 2021. You fought 3 times. You won 3 of those bouts. You come over from XKO to Combate. You cut your teeth, and you're taking care of business. The guys that they're putting up in front of you, they're testing you, trying to figure out like what they got with you, and you've passed both of those tests. Now we have another fight in front of you, Perez. But not to say that we're overlooking Perez, because we're not. We all know he's tough. We know he's a good dude. But like, what does a successful year look like for you?
At least 3 more fights and 3 more W's. I'm looking for finishes, but I'm going to get these wins, and we'll see what happens at the end of the year.
Your last knockout, I mean, January of 2021 was your last knockout. So you got to be itching. You got to be wanting to put somebody to sleep really, really bad.
That's the plan. They came and interviewed me, and Combate did, and I was like, I've been saying I'm going to put these guys away, but I haven't been doing it. So it's time to quit talking and let the performance show. And I'm just ready. I'm ready to go. It's been a great camp.
If you could pick how to win your next fight, whether it be through knockout, I'm going to throw a curveball at you, or submission, which one would you pick?
It's funny because when he shoots and he realizes I can grapple, I think there's going to be a chance there for me to get a submission. But everybody loves a knockout, so I would prefer a knockout. But hey, anything's on the table.
Anything's on the table.
I'm ready to end it anywhere.
Let's not involve the judges. I'd love to see you get a finish, because I feel like those finishes would do a lot to like get your name out there and to show people just how special a fighter that I know that you are, and so many others that of us that are like in the know. Like we already know this, and it's only going to be a matter of time before you go on to accomplish big and better things. Landry, always appreciate your time, man. And I'm glad I had the opportunity to have you back on to talk about this. I want to give you the last word, though. So if there's anyone that you'd like to thank or plug, feel free to go ahead and do that.
Hey, man, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. You're a damn good podcaster. I love all the research you do. You're good.
Appreciate that, my man.
You deserve to have this blow up.
You know what? We rise together. We rise together.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But shout out to all my training partners, coaches at Sanford, sponsors, Upright Roofing, Cowboy Joe's Discount City, North Texas Boat Clean, everyone who supports me, everyone who's going to be in Texas at the watch party. Get ready for a show. I'm gonna put on for the city.
And the link for Landry's store where you can grab the drip will be in the description for this video. And the link for my store will be as well. But buy his stuff. You don't need to buy my stuff. Buy his stuff. It's more important if you're on a budget.
Support both of us.
Support him first, though, because, he's fighting, and fighting's expensive, and I'm not. So there you have it, Landry. You're a G, man. We'll do it again soon.